Today, I will be reacting to some of our discussion. Some of the discussion is the fundamental of electricity and magnetism. At first, I know that we will be learning some of basics electricity guidelines and safety protocols. And I like that stuff because back when I was grade 9 student, I was able to know some of its safety protocols when talking about electricity. So it's not hard for me to understand about it. Well, in the basic electrical safety, we have to assure our safety when we are doing or creating devices. Just like if you spot problems with electrical equipment, you should report it to your supervisor. And the objectives to this topic is to be familiar with the fundamental concepts of electricity, the effects of the electricity on the human body, able to recognize common electrical hazards, and to be familiar with protective devices. So, there's a question here. Have you ever been shocked? Well, yes, I've been shocked I think when I was 6 years old because I was trying to plug the cord for the light and I didn't notice that I'm holding the metal one and plug it directly to the outlet. So guys, always check when plugging the cord to the outlet that you're not holding the metal cause metal and our body are some conductors of electricity. And you have to check also the wires if there are no cuts on it. And we have to prevent those scenarios. So, circuit breaker can prevent not to damage appliances that causes the damage of the property and even get lives. And also when you sense that there is an electrical hazard nearby, just keep distance to it. So, here, in fundamentals of electrical hazards, there are voltage, amperage, impedance, circuit element, and fault. So, grounding is also important because it is normally a secondary protection measure that protects you from electric shock. When we talk about electricity, there are do's and don'ts for using it or installing, especially in workplace and in your house. So we have to obey this for our own safety. So some of the do's when installing electricity is to plug power equipment into wall receptacles with power switches in the off position and unplug electrical equipment by grasping the plug and pulling it. So do not pull or jerk the cord to unplug the equipment. And there are some myths and misconceptions about electricity like it takes high voltage to kill. 120 volts is not dangerous, so I don't think so. And double insulated power tool are doubly safe and can be used in wet and damp location. Well, water is one of the conductors of electricity and it's still dangerous. And this one, the safe way is always be the best way. So keep that in mind, guys. So here there is introduction for basic electronics. So before you get started, make sure your electronic workbench is properly set up. The work area doesn't need to be fancy and you could even build your own electrical workbench. And you have store some of your tools and equipment material in a storage box or anything that can store things so that it is organized and your workbench is clean to look at. So now you have a good workspace setup. So these are some of the common use in electronics. First, the breadboard, that essential tool for prototyping and building temporary circuits. Next is the digital multimeter, a device that used to measure current voltage and resistance. So the next is the battery holder. A battery holder is a plastic case that holds batteries from 9V to AA. So the next is the test lids. Test lids or alligator clips are great for connecting components together to test the circuit without the need for soldering. So the next is the wire cutter. So wire cutters are essential for stripping stranded and solid copper wire. And the precision screwdriver set, also known as jeweler's screwdrivers, and usually come as a set. So the advantage of these normal screwdrivers is the precision tips of each driver. And the next one is the helping third hand. So when working with electronics, it seems you never have enough hands to hold everything, so you only have two hands. And this is where the helping hand or third hand comes in. great for holding circuit boards or wire when soldering or tinning. So the next is the heat gun. A heat gun is used to shrink plastic tubing known as heat shrink to help protect exposed wire. So the next one is the jumper wire. So these wires are used with breadboard and development boards and are generally 22 to 28 AWG solid core wire. So the next is the soldering iron. When it's time to create a permanent circuit, you'll want to solder the parts together. To do this, a soldering iron is the tool you would use. Of course, a soldering iron isn't any good unless you have solder to go with it. You can choose leaded or lead-free solder in a few diameters. Now, the electrical components that makes our projects come to life. And these are some of the common components. So the first one is the switch. So switch can come in many forms such as push button, rocker, momentary, and others. Their basic function is to interrupt electric current by turning a circuit on or off, just like a switch in a house. So resistor. Resistors are used to resist the flow of current or to control the voltage in a circuit. Next one is the variable resistor or potentiometer. A variable resistor, also known as potentiometer, these components can be found in devices such as light, dimmer, or volume control for a radio. When you turn the shaft of a potentiometer, the resistance changes in the circuit. So the next one is the light dependent resistor or LDR. An LDR is also a variable resistor but is controlled by the light versus turning a knob. So the next one is the capacitor. So capacitor stores electricity and then discharges it back into the circuit when there is a drop in voltage. So the diode allows electricity to flow in one direction and blocks it from flowing the opposite way. Next one is the LED. It is the light emitting diode. It is like a standard diode in the fact that electrical current only flows in one direction. So next one is the transistor. Transistors are tiny switches that turn a current on or off when triggered by an electrical signal. Next one is the relay. So it's an electrical operated switch that opens or closes when power is applied. Inside the relay is an electromagnet which controls a mechanical switch. So the next one is the integrated circuit or IC, a circuit that is being reduced in size to fit inside a tiny chip. So the circuit contains electronic components like resistors and capacitors but on a much smaller scale. So there's a question here. What is the difference between electronic and electrical devices? So the answer lies in how devices manipulate electricity to their work. Electrical devices take the energy of electric current and transform it in a simple ways into some other form of energy, most likely light, heat, or motion. The heating elements in a toaster turn electrical energy into heat, so you can burn your toast. And the motor in your vacuum cleaner turns electrical energy into motion that drives a pump that sucks the burnt toast crumbs out of your carpet. In contrast, electronic devices do much more. Instead of just converting electrical energy to heat, light, or motion, electronic devices are designed to manipulate the electrical current itself to coax it into doing interesting and useful things. So that's all guys. Thank you for watching. Keep safe and God bless. Peace.